Welcome back, my unhinged friends. It's that time again where I tell you some of my favorite strange and unusual tales. In this episode, we're going to continue our dive into origin stories. Plenty of material there. I told you, every culture has one, and they're all insane. Today's creation story is that of the Greek variety, so strap on your winged sandals and grab your invisibility cap. It's time to find out how we came to be, Greek mythology style. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. Sorry to say that I'm not going to be starting from the actual beginning and telling you the story of all of the gods, because that's an episode in itself. We're going to focus mainly on the creation of humans, but I'll give you a quick summation on what happened just prior to that. So there was a war in heaven, and the Olympians were doing battle with the Titans. Remember the Olympians? Like Zeus, Hades, Poseidon. Well, all of them were trying to overthrow the Titans. The Titans were the OG elder gods, and this battle was referred to as the Titanomachy, and it was fought to determine who would have dominion over the universe. Spoiler alert, the Olympians win, and they banish the Titans to Tartarus, which is the equivalent to the biblical hell. However, there were a few Titans who went unscathed because they fought alongside the Olympians instead of their own. This is Prometheus, his twin brother Epimetheus, and their mother Themis. So now, the Titans are all locked away in Tartarus, and the Olympians are free to rule as they please, and they divvy up the universe. Zeus has domain over the skies, Poseidon rules the seas, and Hades has control over the underworld. It's perfect. Maybe too perfect, because the gods get bored. There's nobody left to send to hell, and they only have each other to sleep with. So they decide they need some action in their lives. So all the gods get together for arts and crafts time, they pull out their Play-Doh, and they get to molding. They fashion all the creatures that would live on Earth. So when all the Play-Doh models are built, they need someone to give these things some substance. And now this is a video game because these clay figurines need some characteristics. They need skills and talents, abilities and weaknesses. So the gods give this task to Prometheus. Maybe they thought he was best suited for the job, or maybe they just got bored again and wanted to hand over the controller. Prometheus, though, was the best suited for this job because he was the god of forethought. This was seemingly passed down by his mother, being that she was regarded as an oracle. His brother Epimetheus, however, wasn't as lucky. This poor guy was the god of afterthought. Hindsight is always 20/20. So Prometheus gets to work giving these clay creatures attributes, and Epimetheus is like, "Come on, bro, you always get all the good jobs." And Prometheus was like, "Yeah, 'cause you're a moron. But go ahead. You can build them, and I'll just double check them whenever you're done." So Epimetheus gets to work, and he actually does a pretty good job. He makes all kinds of creatures. Ones with claws and sharp teeth, ones that can fly, ones that can swim, some that can camouflage themselves. It's a pretty badass variety. So when Prometheus comes to check his brother's work, he's pretty impressed. And then he notices a little blank clay figure in the corner. And it didn't have claws, or sharp teeth, or fur, or wings, or tentacles. What the hell is this one? And Epimetheus was like, shit. That was supposed to be a human, but I kind of forgot about it, and now I've already used up all the powers that Zeus gave me on all the other animals? And Prometheus is like, well, Zeus gave us a deadline, and it's now, so this thing is just gonna have to go out like this and fend for itself. And just like that, Earth was populated. So many badass creatures roaming around with all their different skills, living in perfect order. And then there's humans. Little hairless creatures moseying about, trying not to get stomped on or eaten. And this was a lot of fun for the gods. Once everything was created, they had a free Animal Planet subscription, and they just hung out and watched all the weirdness and wonder ensue. But you can only watch so much TV before you get bored, and bored they got. So they had to come up with other ways to entertain themselves. So they'd send fires or floods or earthquakes, really shake things up for the earth dwellers. And then they'd sit back and laugh and watch the aftermath of what they had done, and then do it again. And in the meantime, Prometheus was feeling pretty bad for the helpless humans. He was racking his brain on what he could give them to ensure their survival. Brain. He gave the humans intelligence, and this changed everything. Now the humans could analyze situations and communicate with each other. They could rationalize and plan. They could keep themselves safe from predators and the elements. And the other gods enjoyed the humans' intelligence, because with intelligence comes anxiety and fear. And you can get people to do whatever you want if you make them afraid. And they did. They wanted the humans to fear them so that they would worship them, and most importantly, give them sacrifices. But sacrifices require fire, and that is something the humans did not have. Prometheus didn't care about sacrifices, but he knew that fire would really benefit mankind. They would be able to cook and keep themselves warm. So when the gods finally decide to give the humans fire, they make a whole thing out of it. It's Fire Day. And they all came down to Earth, and Zeus presented it to the humans because he's Zeus. And he told them, when you make sacrifices to us, you better use the best animals. I want the best cuts. Give me them T-bones, I don't know, the best parts of an animal. Whatever they are, you better give them to me. So they find this perfect cow, and Zeus tells Prometheus to sort it out and teach the humans how to sacrifice this thing right. So Prometheus cuts up this cow, and he separates all the good stuff from the bad. He knows that Zeus wants the good stuff and that the humans are only going to be left with the scraps. So he has an idea. He takes all the good pieces and he wraps them up in the cow's stomach so that it looks nasty. Then he takes all the garbage bits and he wraps them in a layer of fat so that it looks delicious. And he brings everything up to Zeus so that he can choose which batch he wants to be his sacrifice. And of course, Zeus is like, the big one. I want the big fatty one. So they sacrifice the batch that Zeus chose, and the smoke drifts up to Mount Olympus where all the gods are waiting for their first sacrifice. And when the aroma reaches them, somehow they know that it came from the nasty parts of the cow. And Zeus is pissed. He is enraged. He decides to totally wipe out humans. But he didn't want it to be as easy as just a flood or an earthquake. He wanted them to suffer. And well, that concludes Fire Day because he snatched it back so that the humans would regress and eventually starve to death or freeze or be eaten by predators. But Prometheus loved his sweet little humans, and he wasn't going to let them go out like that. He waited for the other gods to be distracted, and he snuck into Hephaestus's workshop. Hephaestus was the god of blacksmiths and metalworking, so he always had a fire going. So Prometheus stole fire from his forge and brought it back to his little creation. Zeus apparently had said earlier that anything done on Fire Day was final, so because Prometheus brought fire back that same day, Zeus would never be able to take it from the humans again, or something, and so the humans were saved. But Prometheus wouldn't be so lucky. When Zeus found out what Prometheus had done, he had Hephaestus build unbreakable chains, and he had Prometheus dragged down from Mount Olympus to the mountains of Earth. He was chained naked to the side of the mountain, and from that day forward, an eagle would come every morning and peck away at his liver, and when night would fall, the eagle would leave, and Prometheus would heal, and then it would all start over again the next morning. Harsh. That's rough. It's ages before Prometheus gets free from that punishment, but that's a whole other video. So the point is, he's our daddy. He gave us our intelligence and sacrificed himself for the continuation of our existence. A little different from the biblical creation story. Clay, not dust, no talking serpents, no forbidden fruit, but they do have one thing in common. One pissed off God. Let me know in the comments which story you prefer. Like, subscribe, and happy Fire Day! See you next time for more Storytime Unhinged. Today's creation story is that of the Greek variety, so grab shit. Grab shit. Good advice.